Hi Lumineers, welcome to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium, and I am in studio with Birkan. Did I do it right?
Oh my god.
I practiced really hard because your name
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'm really honored that you're here in studio with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
And before we dive in
Yeah.
to talking about the energy of angels, which that is your livelihood right now, and I'm so intrigued, we do have some housekeeping notes. I know half of you just went, yay, I really want to know what's going on. And the other half of you just went, oh, I really want to talk about angels, Jamie. We've waited for 5 seasons. Give me the angels. We're getting there. So guys, what's happening? We have lots of online classes, in-person classes. We have our Reiki and mediumship classes that will be posted. They've already started, but we have our advanced series and our mastership coming up. So if you want to join those or want to know where they are, head over to jamiebutlermedium.com. What?
Yeah, I do. It's like, it all sounds very exciting.
Come play with us. Are you kidding? That would be wonderful. But do head over to jamiebutlermedium.com and sign up for the newsletter. Colleen, behind camera here, organizes the whole thing. It is beautifully organized. I get excited about that. Maybe a little too excited, but that's my thing. And if you want to know what's happening here on the Lighter Side Network, please, Facebook, like us. We post every show, every episode, and every podcast, and we will have some new content and shows coming up for you really soon. Okay, like and subscribe. Did I say everything, Colleen? Okay, Lumineers, let's talk about the energy of angels. But first, I want to get to know you just a little bit so our Lumineers get to understand who you are. I know just a little bit. I mentioned to you before that our audience, you guys are researchers. You are fingers to keyboard. You know, I know that if you like something, you're following through on it. So I will allow you to do the research on him so that we can dive into something deeper. Because you do work that I skim. Like I just skim the surface. And I don't know if we haven't really talked about what I do.
Yeah.
You know, the show here kind of started from an audience wanting to know people more who work in the field of health, wellness, wholeness, spiritual mediumships, and so forth. People who are sensitive. And what I do is I am a medium and I communicate to people who've crossed over. And sometimes in my sessions, I'll see angels.
Right.
I don't really know their names.
Right.
And so I sit and I probably spend too much time trying to sound it out, like, with their gorgeous names.
Yeah.
And they come with a very specific energy and they always look really grand and huge in my, yes.
Very.
So I'm partly more excited that you're here so I can learn more.
Describe me a little more. So they're tall. What else do you see?
Their energy is way clearer, more sparkly, like how I would describe a crystal.
Yeah.
Whereas when I look at human spirits who've crossed over, to me they look more dense or
That is refined
mixed,
and vibration.
refined. Yes. Yeah, and so that tends to be the area where I work.
Right.
So when I see these tall beings show up, I just kind of
yeah.
and
That was my first response.
I get really calm.
Yeah.
And I get kind of lost in my head, like scattered. As you can tell, I tend to talk really fast.
You
know,
do?
Train. What?
Squirrel.
Yes. You know, I've trained myself to do that so I can keep up with what Spirit's saying.
Course,
but when I get around that,
the angels,
it doesn't work well.
No.
So how did you discover this? And get into
I transitioned from mediumship into what I call angelic mediumship too. So it was an adjustment from, listening to the spirit, observing the spirit, to all of a sudden, just staring at the angels and forgetting about the client, forgetting about what's going on. Now, I wanted to know how you see angels because they, it's probably the number one question people ask me, how do they look like? And I always tell them, I don't know, what do you see? They appear in so many different forms. Their main objective when they do appear to someone is to be seen, to be understood, and they will identify themselves in a way the individual would recognize. So if the individual is expecting to see an angel with, white fluffy wings, they will appear with white fluffy wings. Not that they actually need to flap their wings to fly anywhere, but that is almost like their, ID badge saying, I'm an angel. But for you, me, or other people who don't have any expectations about how they should look, we'll actually see them in their energy form. But even what we see is much diluted, so we don't literally go blind by the
I
rate
believe
of
that.
energy and light. They really bring it down for us to be able to see, to experience without burning our nervous system, brain. These beings are really powerful and their energy is very high vibrational. So it would be like plugging a, you know how the plugs are different in Europe and in the US, and if you just plug something to 220 while it needs, exactly, so they really bring it down. And our guardian angels often act as the transformers. Archangels, they know how to bring their energy down, so we are not fried.
So you said you started off as a medium.
Yeah,
How old were you? Did this?
I think
Were you
I
born
gave
with
my
it?
first reading, putting
I love the
quotation
air
marks,
quotes.
because I wasn't even sure what that was. I was 8 or 9. It was the daughter of my babysitter. It was just like an after school thing. I had to wait for mom. And one day, I don't know how we got into doing that, but I started laying playing cards for her and started reading her. And I didn't know what reading was. I grew up in Istanbul. I grew up without, this is before internet. This is before Turkey had any access to New Age books or translation of New Age books. Those came later.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know what a reading was. I didn't know what I was doing. There was this flow of information, and I would just read. And then she was so blown away by what she was hearing, she invited her friends. Her friends invited her friends. And all of a sudden, I started reading these teenagers. And I didn't know about relationships. I didn't know what sex was. I mean, I learned a lot given readings. I'm like, oh, like I would see things that I didn't know what I was looking at. So I started that young. Then mom realized that I was like kind of giving, readings to the neighborhood. And she said, okay, it stops now. You're too young to do what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And the rules were that I was allowed to read things that are spiritual, about intuition, about, back then I didn't know anything about angels. But I wasn't allowed to read. That, I think I was 16 or 17 when mom said, okay, I think you're old enough to know what you're doing. So that's when I was allowed to get my first deck of tarot cards.
Ooh.
And so I am in a way grateful that she wouldn't let me read people but study. That allowed me to learn and study and grow and in a way strengthen my mental body. So later when I could see things, it was easier for me to interpret and understand what I was looking at.
You had the experiences to back it up.
Exactly.
Cheers to your mom, man, for not just shutting it down and
absolutely
shaming
it. Yeah.
But realizing the maturity had to go with it.
Yeah. And but years later, as an adult, when I told her about the angels, she goes, oh, is he okay? Like asking my sister later, do you think your brother's okay? She has a psych degree, and then she was very concerned about me seeing, angels and hearing things. For her, I think that was just a little too much. And then after 1 year of blasting her with angel energy and with the help of the angels, I didn't talk about angels. I just sent her angels. I just cleared her energy with angels. Next time I spoke to her about the topic, it was her who brought it up and said, oh, I found this beautiful book about angels, and I, gifted all my friends. I was like, oh, how nice. Tell me more about them. All of a sudden she was telling me about the angels. And throughout that year, she just saw how happy I was, how my life has improved. And at one point she thought, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something to this angel thing. And so that's what I always tell people, teach by example. Just do what you do, be happy, let people see that. They'll come to you and ask, what is it, that thing you do again? And that applies to, energy healing, angels, intuition. Let your happiness inspire people to learn what you are doing.
Can we dip them in gold right now? Or do we have to wait until after the episode is over? That's exact. I love hearing that. that resonates with me really, really strong.
Oh,
Yeah. So
very good.
sorry, I'm like glued. So I have a question I like
Yeah.
to ask everybody. And that question is, what is energy, in your opinion, in your experience?
Now, I know nothing about like science or math. I'm not a real blonde, but in a way I am. Like my whole life is a blonde moment. So believe me, I will not give you like a accurate definition of what energy is. I don't know. But for me, everything is energy. I don't know anything else. I don't know anything that is not that. So I really don't know. For me, your energy, the air between us is energy. I'm made of energy. Everything, this world, everything is moving. Energy is vibrant. It is never stagnant. It is always moving. So I'm always fascinated by solid objects that I know deep down that they are moving, that everything is moving. So through that energy that connects everything to everyone, to everything, I am able to do what I do. And so it is also, it has different colors, frequencies, and over time we can learn to, train the brain to switch between those frequencies. And so we can listen to the angel FM, the spirit FM, the spirit guide FM, all have their different frequencies. And like a car radio, we have these stations, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You do this long enough, angel FM is saved. Spirit FM is saved. And so we
Favorites.
all of a sudden, we switch during one reading very easily. We just switch channels just by use of the intention. And so the transition, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned that it's really easy to switch the channels. And
great practice.
I do agree with that. I've been doing it for 28 years. I now have a muscle where I can go on, off, here, there, But I experience that other people who watch or observe go, well, that's obviously not real because it didn't take them any effort. They didn't struggle
They're not
to
shaking and throwing themselves on the
They didn't do a process and say, everybody quiet down, please. I have to switch channels. Yeah. And so they have a really hard time.
But we do have colleagues who are very dramatic in their way of working. So
a
lot of that is on TV, so it's kind of expected from us. So when we just start talking, they're like, wait, is this really from the angels? Like, I don't know about anything, I don't know about your life, I don't know about what I'm talking about, so it's not me.
Do you have people who ask you, why is it so easy for you? What?
The question my clients ask me, or the people I interact with ask, like, how are you not overwhelmed? And I tell them I am all the time. No.
You carry it very well.
It's just, I just hide it very well. No, seriously, I am and I'm not. I'm not overwhelmed by my intuition. I'm not overwhelmed by what my intuition brings to me. I'm more overwhelmed by people and, what they communicate, how they communicate, that can be overwhelming in large numbers. But intuition, they ask me, okay, how do you turn it on and off? And I tell them I don't. And that's how I actually deal with it. It's always on.
Yeah.
I just, increase, decrease. I play with the volume of my intuition, if you will. And so that's how I can deal with it. It's always on. So it's a part of my reality. I just experience life as a sixth sensory individual. And therefore, I made my peace with it. I know that I will not be able to go to a concert with 5,000 people and party for 2 hours. I know my limits. I know how much I can take. And I develop techniques that save my sanity so I can, I can stop certain flows of information so I can have a dinner with my friends and not know the person next table is, cheating on their wife.
Yes.
And they're thinking about leaving. I'm like, oh, I really don't need to know that. And then so, over the years, I developed these little things that help me go through life without being overwhelmed by what I do for a living and who I am.
I think they're thinking exactly what I'm thinking.
What?
What are your techniques of doubling up?
Okay, I'll share one.
Yes, thank you.
The most useful one. Mm-hmm. So many sensitive individuals, many empaths, they think just by shielding, they will be safe. And that very practice, I am not a huge fan of. I always call that, I say, if you're going to do anything, create a filter of light, not a barrier. so you don't isolate yourself or suffocate yourself with your own negativity, because it's not like only the world is negative. It's like, come on, people. I mean, we do have our moments. We do produce our fair amount of, negativity and release it to the world.
Yes.
So therefore, a filter would be great. It's just hygiene of energy. We don't want to litter, right? And so we also don't want to litter with our energy by spreading our negativity. But that's a whole another issue. So the empaths, so the intuitives, they say, okay, I'm shielded, yet I'm still overwhelmed with information. I still know what this person is feeling, what that person is experiencing, what's going to happen to this person. Well, that means their intuition is still roaming free. Intuition is like a puppy. It'll go around, sniff at everything, taste everything, and occasionally maybe it'll eat a cigarette. And so what do? You gently tug on the leash and say, no, drop it. And so how do we tug on the leash of our intuition and bring it back so we don't know what's going on with everyone? What helps me is that I pick a physical spot, like a tip of my finger. And I shouldn't do it fully now, but what I do, I bring my entire attention to that part of my body, the skin. And not a spiritual awareness, just physically. I try to feel the skin there. How does the texture of this jeans feel against my finger? I bring my entire attention to that point. It takes about a minute, and you can do it in a meeting while you are just looking someone in the eye, and you can still practice that. You can bring your focus and awareness to that part of your body. What happens is that intuition has no choice but to follow your thoughts. And so the puppy will come home, your intuition will come home, and you'll stop gathering, experiencing that intuitive data that belongs to other people.
That's brilliant.
It is that simple. And so you just need to, bring the puppy home. And you do this often enough. The puppy knows not to go into other people's fields. And it happens less and less and less, exactly.
And you have classes, online classes.
Yes.
And you also have a mentorship that
Yes.
people can apply for. I know you only take like a small group, like 10 people for the whole year.
Yeah.
But you teach your techniques and...
Yeah. So the mentorship program, I developed that one because I had to teach myself. And I think you experienced that to a certain extent. You had to learn trial and error. And, we had to burn our hands a few times. And make a few messes.
Yes.
And so I think as teachers, that's our role, part of our path. So, our students that don't get burned on so many levels. And so I wanted to create a program where people could, come to me with their questions, but also I could share these techniques that I gathered, learned, developed over the years that I couldn't teach a large group of people because I don't know where everyone is in their development. So I need a smaller group that I knew where each person is, and one-on-one interact with them, get to know their goals, and help them develop their intuitive abilities. And so that's how the program was born. And the online thing, my coordinator, Megan, she is a genius with, tech and conferences and meetings and gatherings. And I just figured out Skype, and I'm so proud of myself. So for years, she would tell me, like, let's do an online thing. And I was like, let's not. And so in numerology, I'm in a one personal year. So it's the year of beginnings. I said, okay, let's try this. Let's do this. And all of a sudden on the screen, I could see my students from UK, from Slovenia, from Germany, from Sweden. So, oh, you're all here, and I didn't fly away. Oh my God! And if I wanted, I could wear my PJs, and you wouldn't even see it.
They wouldn't know.
And that's how my online training started. It's just, laziness. It's part laziness, part inspiration, and part desire to teach. Put together online classes.
Yeah, but the amount of detail and keeping it small, the class small, so that you can get into the information of it.
Right.
Like, I really appreciate that.
Right.
I feel like that's where we are in this day and age. No more mass education. No more this size fits all.
Right.
Take it, run.
So I do have, they're still not mass. They're not those giant classes, but I still have bigger classes where I give the ABCs. But what they are going to do with ABCs, then we sit down and explore it safely and together and over a certain period of time. So I like that opportunity, and the internet gives us that opportunity to keep meeting, to keep practicing, keep working. And so, and that way I can keep some of my secrets as secrets and just share it with people who are ready to work with it. And it's not because, they're mine. It's because if somebody uses these techniques without having prior education, knowing what to do with them, it would do more harm than good. So that's why certain techniques, I think, should be kept for more experienced students. There should be a build-up. There should be a journey of education. These days we want everything to happen like now, in 2 hours, in
Instant
2 days.
reward.
Like, yeah, no, I don't think you're there as human consciousness yet. Maybe one day we'll evolve so much that we'll download things just like that, but we're not there just yet.
And you recognize that. So, Lumineers, if this sounds like something that you're super, super interested in, head over to his website, which is askangels.com. All the classes online. And in starting this year, he'll be seeing people in his Atlanta office for his readings and healing sessions, which is huge.
Yeah, because for years I only saw people via Skype, and I would occasionally travel to cities for in-person readings, but it would fry my brain because I would have to see like so many people in one day. And so now it's Atlanta Prana Healing Center. I kind of found my spiritual home here after I moved here. And now I've got this little space and I can welcome people, work with them, have this, face-to-face interaction. But from a level of energy and intuition, actually, as you know, it is the same. I mean, we can read for anyone, no matter where they are. It is, where we connect is that way, not that way. So who is sitting in front of me? My cat, my puppies, it's okay because I'm connecting up and where my client is, as long as they can hear me, we're good. And come on, we did this over the phone for years. There was no Skype.
No,
we didn't
no
even
Skype.
see people. It was just, we would call and talk. So the 101 thing, it's more social than energetic.
So I have a series of questions
Shoot.
that our Lumineers have asked in the past or current. And since you have been living in multiple cultures and countries most of your life, and we're very happy to have you here in the South, in Atlanta, we'd like to know, have you found that angels show up differently in specific cultures?
I think maybe at one point they did, but we are so well connected this century. We are so really well connected culturally, through art, through internet. I think since angels were already a universal concept, they just said, different names in different cultures due to difference of language. They already, people had similar expectations about how angels would appear. But I'm getting same descriptions no matter where I travel and ask people, so what do you see? Because I'm always curious how other people experience it. Some people see them as orbs of light, and I had times where I saw certain angels as little balls of light. Now, these beings, they don't really have a body as we do, and they're pure energy with consciousness. They are part of a bigger group consciousness. They don't experience the illusion of separation like we do. For them, they are all extensions of that angel collective consciousness. So when we call on an archangel, when we connect with our guardian angel, they are part of a bigger angelic collective. And so the descriptions that I'm getting from different cultures, they are very similar. But one thing that I always listen to when they're describing their encounters is what they felt. Because anything can look like anything. In the astral realms, in inner worlds, there are a lot of there's no limitation of physicality, so beings can take different forms. And I get this question a lot, like, how do I know I'm talking to an angel? Because there are people out there.
That was one of my questions. How do you know?
I must be psychic. Oh God, I hope I am. I've been doing this long enough. It would be really bad if I wasn't. So seriously though, because there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who love scaring people away from exploring their intuition, exploring the inner realms. And so there are all these stories of, if you call an angel, you're going to get this. Huh? Why? Like, what? Okay. even with that logic, let's go with that logic for a second. I'm going to say, Archangel Michael, I call upon you now. And you're telling me another being will show up. That would not go well for that being. Because what's going to happen is angels respond to their name. So even when I'm giving you the example and I say Archangel Michael, there's actually a flash of light by my side.
There actually was, and it was quite distracting.
It's shiny. So they respond to their name every time. And then it's like, oh, he's just talking about, whatever. So he doesn't stay. But if something else would indeed show up when you invoke the angels, that something else would be in the presence of an archangel and leave rather quickly.
Right.
So as long as you really call on the angels, you're fine.
Can you, let's say, somebody who holds multiple thoughts in their head at once, and they say, okay, I'm going to call on Archangel Michael, but they don't believe in themselves, and they don't have trust in it, but they just say the words.
That's enough.
That's enough.
That by spiritual law, that's enough.
Did you hear that, guys? Say it again.
That's enough.
It's enough.
By spiritual law, if you utter the name Archangel Michael, see the flash? They appear. And it can be said in Hebrew, Latin, doesn't matter. In your own language, you don't have to say it in English. Just by saying the name Archangel Michael, he will be there with you, even if you don't believe he's going to be there with you. Now, the other thing that they can watch out when they are, communicating with non-physical beings is how they feel. Because it's true that there are beings in the inner realms that can change form and could look like anything. Mm-hmm. They couldn't mimic the feeling the angels would give you. That sense of love almost like makes you teary-eyed. You just feel loved and this sense of peace and serenity, even if you're stressed prior to invoking. That feeling, nothing else can mimic.
Because that was another question, was what was the biggest sign that happens when I'm communicating or in front of an angel? So would it be that emotional?
Yeah, because not everyone is, visual in their intuitive experiences. For many, it is a sense of knowingness, which is actually much better. Then there's, some people are clairsentient, they sense more. So I always go for angelic signs and information that would be universal for all intuitives. So I would say the sense of serenity and love, sense of elation, even if it's very subtle, it'll be there. So I would say check your heart chakra, check your chest. What do you feel? Check your head. What do you feel? There'll be a sense of elation. There'll be a sense of lightness, even if it's momentary. And nothing else can mimic that.
It's funny. That's the feeling that I get when I'm around you.
Oh.
It is.
It's the angels. There are
like
so many of them around me. They must be rubbing off on me. No. It's really the angelic energy that is all around us.
You just pushed that compliment off real nice.
Well, thank you. I'll
You're
take the
welcome. That is how I feel when you're here. So, okay, I have a few more.
Yeah, sure.
Angels, aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Are angels aliens?
Technically, we are all aliens. So it depends who's asking, really. They're aliens, we are aliens. It all a matter of, perception. I'm technically a legal alien. Many years ago, when I first thought about, moving to US, I was looking into the visa options, and one of them, I think it was called O1, and it said alien with extraordinary abilities. It was for artists. I was like, I want it. I said, I want to be recognized by the US government as an alien with extraordinary abilities. And I said, I'm going to frame that visa. It'll be in my office. I said, I want that one. Later, I didn't.
We all have goals.
Yeah,
you didn't get
I
it?
love the legal. I got married, and things change. But I love the terminology they use for immigration documents. Like alien with an extraordinary abilities. Like, so be it. I'll take it.
Please. Okay, so I think what they're asking with angels and aliens. We communicate with multidimensional beings or aliens that are in different dimensional states. Are angels similar to that? They're multidimensional beings that reside in different dimensional states?
They do, and they are universal. So this is not the only planet where people get angels or can work with the angels. They are all over the universe, and universes, just as beings, beings from other star systems. They are like you and I. They're in their own incarnational cycle, incarnational wheel. They have their form, physical, somewhat physical, non-physical. It's a range. But angels, they're always a different phylum. They're different species altogether. They are not going through the same cycle of incarnation and karma. They're created without an ego. They're extensions of source energy. They are, well, what is source energy? Energy with consciousness, and that's what the angels are. Twice alluded and sent to us, so we are not completely cut off, or our experience, we are not cut off, but our experience is not cut off from where we come from. So we have peace of home around us because we forget the peace of home within us. So they're the constant reminders of where we come from, why we are here. Yet there are very clear spiritual laws that kind of limit our interaction, mainly free will. They are not allowed to intervene in any way that would change your chart or that would influence your free will. We do need to use free will, which is why we need to invoke them. Otherwise they would see someone's like, oh, that relationship, no, girl, no. And imagine angels just intervening and breaking up the couple and saying, okay, you're out. You need to be single for about 3 years, you'll be fine. Thankfully, it doesn't work that way. As humans, we need to say, angels, help me with my relationship, help me heal this, help me find a way out of this.
I like how you said you to engage your free will, you need to invoke them.
Exactly.
Because one of the questions we hear a lot are, why are angels helping us? Are they slaves in some dimension where they're like, angels just have to serve the people on earth and make sure that they're okay? And they're like all waiting around with their like shields and staffs and gowns and big feathered wings going, I haven't been called on today, so I guess it's just another lazy day.
No,
Filing nails.
Oh, wait, I don't have nails.
So why are they here? How and why are they helping us?
So we are, about 8 billion amnesiacs running around with no memory of what we are, where we come from. It is quite chaotic, as you can see. And so the entire human experience can be really chaotic because, as souls, we are also wise, and then we're born, and until we reestablish the connection to our higher self, we are very confused and not quite sure why we are here, what we're supposed to do. So they are our connection to the source. They are our connection to where we come from. And the definition of the source, it's up to each person how they define their origin or higher source. It's not my job, or it's not for me to say what that source is. That's why I use the word source.
So is it safe to say that by them showing up for us, if we're invoking them and they're coming forward to help, that we're contributing to their maybe life lessons or plans or goals?
So they do learn through human experience. So they help us fulfill our missions as a soul. And while doing that, they observe our entire life. Our guardian angels are with us from day one till the last day, watching everything very intently and learning from that and evolving through service, evolving through their help to us. Anything more than that would be going too deep, and I don't think we have the time for that discussion. But they are indeed also evolving through their interaction with us. But they are in no means slaves. They are very, very powerful beings. They just don't have egos. Therefore, they're not offended. They don't. When a 2-year-old calls you something, do you take that seriously? No. And so, for an angel, a human is an infant. So they've got a lot of love. Even if we are yelling at them, they're like, oh, you're so cute. So I wouldn't worry so much about that, but I do recommend when you invoke angels, when you ask for their help, be humble, be kind. Humbleness, kindness, it makes us more receptive. It's not so much about respect and what you say. It energetically puts you in a more yin and a more receptive mode. So since you're asking for something, you better be receptive. And so your humbleness, You asking is going to put you in that energetic state. I'm not talking about the appearances or the morals.
Yeah.
Just energetic, the being humble, asking for their help. You'll be more receptive to the guidance you'll receive in return. Because they move things, they, bring people together, they bring you resources, they do help in so many creative ways. But the biggest help they provide is they guide us towards what we are asking help with.
Oh my God, Jesse, mark that in the description underneath this video. Must watch this minute, this second, and put it on repeat at least 10 times and listen to that 10 times so that it helps us understand that if you're asking, you need to be ready to receive.
Be part of it. Be part of it. Because most of the time we need help because we don't know what to do. We need help because we don't know what to do. So they'll tell us what to do. And you don't need to be, like us talking to non-physical, invisible beings. You don't need like 20 years of training in intuition to receive their guidance. They will bring the guidance at a level that you can receive. And so it is mostly, people very often expect these flashy answers like, thou shalt dump him. Like, no, that would be very creepy if they kept yelling at us like that. I don't think I would work with angels. I'd be very intimidated. And so it is very subtle. Intuition is subtle.
I love your humor so much.
Thank you. But it is subtle. It's a thought that pops up in your mind. It is a feeling. It is a nudge. It is a push to do something. And it'll be consistent because as humans, we change our idea. That's how we separate what is us, what is guidance. Guidance is consistent when it's intuitive, when it's divinely oriented. Unless the situation changes, we'll keep getting the same message. Do this, call this person, call this person. You'll be watching TV and call this person. You'll be washing dishes, call this person. Like while you're not talking about the topic itself. Mm. And the other thing I always say, ask the same question in different emotional states. Like if you get the same answer while you're upset, while you're happy, while you're neutral, it's quite likely that's intuition. Because our thoughts, our expectations will change based on our current emotional state. And so intuition doesn't really come with emotion. It's very natural. It is what it is. Yes. Just they'll drop it into your mind. Just be open. And then there are signs, seeing numbers, seeing certain words, being told about a certain book so many times. 3 times or more, I'd take it as a sign. Or one really profound message that gets your attention, I'd take that also as a sign. And so they're very creative. We just need to be open to receiving. Because, when we want something, we can be a bit, yes. So we keep asking. But we don't sit after asking and give them a minute to drop an answer. So when you ask for help, you might want to, wait to see what the reply is. I heard this sentence so many times. I just want to talk about it for a second. Angels abandon me. Angels are not answering my prayers. Why are they ignoring me? It doesn't work that way. Angels don't abandon us. They don't ignore us, especially your guardian angels. That's all they do. Take care of you, listen to you, help you. And so if there is silence, it is not because they are ignoring us. It is because we are not able to receive the answer. And that's where it would help to develop your intuition. Even if you're not going to be a professional psychic, learn to awaken and work with your sixth sense. So life is going to be much richer, I promise you that, but also it will be easier to receive those answers. And so when you're stressed, can you do a reading when you're stressed?
It's more difficult.
Yeah. Can you do a reading when you're angry?
No. Yeah. Nope, I'm shut down.
And so, me too. So I would tell anyone, if we are, with all of our experience, it should, it's second nature to us to do readings, right? Because that's what we do for a living. That's what we know. Yet, if we can't do a reading because we're upset, I wouldn't expect people to be very open to angelic guidance, which is much higher vibration when they're upset. So don't worry. If you're stressed and you asked help and you don't seem to get an answer, it is just because you're not able to hear it at that moment, but they are on it. Now that you asked, that means you gave your free will permission to act to them, to act on your behalf, to work with you, through you, and around you. So all you need to do is really to ask.
Thank you for taking a moment and focusing on that.
My pleasure.
All right, I have 2 other questions.
Sure.
I'd like to know, is there an angel hierarchy?
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean this one's better than the next one, this one's smaller than that one, and this one has more, like, lesser things to do than the other one?
I don't
Hierarchy.
work. I personally don't work with the hierarchy. Like, I don't call an angel, it's like, angel of this name, of this order, help me. I just invoke the archangel I need to work with for the matter I have at hand. Their hierarchy is more a share of responsibilities, not really an executive, ladder. They're not better in any way. They don't see themselves that way. That's a human concept. Ego compares. Angels don't have that concept. For them, everyone knows what they are supposed to do. Now, how do we know what they're supposed to do? I know it can be confusing. Archangel Raphael is for healing. Archangel Michael, we call on Michael for protection. Then, who do we call when we need prosperity? Who do we call when we need, help with our relationships? It can be confusing, all these Hebrew names and foreign sounds. So if you call on Archangel Raphael and say, oh, please protect me, let's say for a second, couldn't remember it was Michael. He is not going to say,
Throw some shade.
Not my department. Please, protect you. So even though they have responsibilities, remember they are a collective. So if you call on Archangel Raphael and ask help with your relationship, which actually will work out great, or ask for protection, he will still protect you. He will still help you. I noticed that certain people and their path is overlit by a specific archangel. So we have our guardian angels. Some of them are angels of archangels. But then some of us have also archangels guiding our path. A certain archangel, 1 or 2, depending. It depends on, how much help do you need to accomplish your life purpose. So if your life purpose involves, tens of thousands of people or more, you possibly need more help. So we are provided more help. And we can always ask for more. That's the beauty of it. You feel, I want to have an archangel guide me. Ask for it. It is that simple. Angels are not limited by time or space. They truly can be with everyone simultaneously. And so you won't be keeping them from something more important. That's what I told at the beginning. I said, wait, there are people who really needs help on this planet. I'm fine. Whatever happens to me, I'm fine. So I said, I will only call on Archangel Michael if I'm about to be hit by a truck. And so that was my approach. And then, they told me otherwise. But that was, it was me realizing they are not limited. I am not keeping them from something more important. And these beings, they really come in all shapes and sizes. There are angelic beings that are this small. There are angelic beings that are as tall as Empire State Building and bigger. So there are all kinds of angelic beings with all kinds of purposes. Some interact with humanity, some don't. Some can interact if you invoke them. But I would say, if you want to improve your ability to see angels, feel angels, communicate with them, the answer is not a magical visualization. The answer is not a energy technique that will switch you to an angel medium instantly. The answer is actually not as magical as people expect. Be a nice person, really. Be a good person. It will raise your energy. It will open your heart. It'll open your crown. It'll make you more receptive to higher vibrational energies. It'll make you a better match. It'll make you more intuitive. A grumpy psychic can only give you bad news because that's all they can attract. So, sorry, calling it as it is.
There needs to be a t-shirt out of that one.
Yeah. So take chemical, just make sure your psychic can smile. Seriously though, it's
a really good
everything works by law of attraction. Therefore, each intuitive can only attract information that is an energetic match to what they are, who they are. And therefore, if the person is eternally grumpy, they'll just, be a match for bad news. And it'll only, of course, validate their pessimistic view of world, but that's not our issue.
And keep them in a cycle if
And
they
so
wish.
I say keep your body clean, keep your energy clean, and be a good person, be kind, be loving. You'll be amazed how much more intuitive you become, because I see all the time, people who don't eat meat, who are vegan, who live, who drink the shakes, and they're very healthy, yet they're always, good God, like,
A mess.
somebody bring me a bleach, like a bowl of bleach, like this, or like, wow. So, and they think they're living clean, and they're like, oh my God, I'm the purest of the, pure. But all that judgment, all that gossiping, all that, pride, negative pride, putting people down, it actually dirties their energy and chakra much worse than those sodas and sugars they're avoiding. And therefore, keeping clean is not only about eating, vegetarian diet. It is also keeping clean in your words, keeping clean in your mind as much as possible. I mean, I'm not a saint. I don't think it'll happen in this incarnation, but I do my best to be loving. I do my best to correct myself if I'm not. I do my best to transmute the negativity I created. I recycle my negativity so it doesn't, hurt anyone else as much as possible. And so we are given so many energetic tools to do so, right? And so I'm asking all of you, for your sake, learn how to become more intuitive. You've got so many options to open up, to learn, and study. Because I see developing intuition or clairvoyance without spiritual study as using steroids to build muscles. It won't be permanent, and it'll be very taxing on the body.
Yeah.
But if you study spirituality, if you develop yourself spiritually, your intuition will grow as a result of that, and will be permanent, and it will be more natural to the body. Now, if you are doing your spiritual studies, reading, and studying intuition, even better. But just doing exercises to open your third eye, just, trying to trick your energy system to be psychic, won't last, and the experience won't be as deep. Again, like steroids. Not permanent, very taxing.
You've answered my last question, which was how to align yourself to receive higher energies when you start talking about being kind. It's an emotional cleansing.
Being honest.
Being honest. That's a good one.
Yeah. It really improves intuition, and keeping our energy clean. Now, that's something we sometimes need help with. That's where the energy healers come handy. I would tell especially any professional energy healer, any professional intuitive should have a healer taking care of them. Surgeons can perform surgery on themselves. We can do a lot, but it's good to switch to that receptive state and, let someone else help us every now and then. And, because if our energy is not clean, it'll be very hard to see through that. It's, that goes deeper into intuition and other topics, but, I'll give you that much.
Oh my God. And Lumineers, if you're sitting there going, I would like to let somebody help me, go to askangels.com. This is not an infomercial. No, this was really beautiful. You coming here and opening up.
The opportunity.
Well, just hanging out with us. I mean, this
I
really
love
how
this
it felt.
place, really. I think I'm going to move in. Like, you should see the bathroom. It's gold. Like, the floor is covered in glitter and it's gold.
Thank you. I love that bathroom. So, Birkan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Likewise.
I will be showing up at your place in Atlanta.
Anytime.
I will be there. Lumineers, I hope to see you there. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding the space for us. And most importantly, thank you for following through with all the hits and the pings and the aha moments that you're having as you're listening, as you're watching, Thank you for putting your fingers to the keyboards and responding to us and reaching out. We really appreciate that because when you do the work, we all feel it. Remember, it's not woo-woo. It's true. And I can't seem to say that tagline without Colleen giggling now. It's not woo-woo, Lumineers. It's true. Take care. Bye. All right, thank you again. I want a real, awesome.
With